Hi, my name is Peter Whitmore. I still remember the sound of her voice that day. It was soft, almost trembling, like she was speaking through some kind of fog. I could see it in her eyes, a mixture of weariness, love, and quiet urgency. She looked at me and said something I'll never forget. I didn't fully understand it at the time, and I think I even tried to brush it off like it was nothing. But her words didn't leave me. They lingered, echoing in corners of my mind I didn't even know existed. It wasn't dramatic. She didn't raise her voice, didn't accuse me, didn't ask for anything I couldn't give. She just spoke, quietly, gently, and yet it cut through everything I thought I knew about myself, about us. I remember standing there, feeling a strange mix of grief, clarity, and something heavier, a weight I hadn't even realized I was carrying for decades. I think I froze for a moment, trying to find the right response, and all I could do was nod, holding her hand. And in that small, silent space, I felt my life, 41 years of it, shift in ways I could not yet name. How had I been blind for so long? How could something so simple change everything? I didn't know then, but slowly I would come to understand. I can still feel the memory of that day, the smell of the room, the softness of her sweater, the hum of the heater in the background. I can see her face, and it's almost like she's whispering to me still, reminding me of what truly matters. It's strange, isn't it, that a few words, a single moment, can hold the weight of an entire lifetime. I spent so many years lost in routines, caught up in trivial arguments, distracted by work that, looking back, didn't matter nearly as much as I told myself it did. I thought I was building something, a life, a legacy, a sense of self-respect. But in reality, I was just moving from one task to another, barely noticing the world, barely noticing her. I think about all the little moments I could have cherished, but didn't. I remember mornings when she made tea and smiled, and I barely looked at her. I remember conversations I could have had, words I could have said, apologies I should have made. And I see it now, the ways I let pride and distraction rule my choices. There's a strange ache in admitting that. 41 years of unexamined living, it hits differently when you allow yourself to feel it. But even amid the regret, I noticed tiny flashes of joy I ignored. The quiet evenings when we'd sit together in silence, the laughter shared over a simple joke, the warmth of her hand in mine during long walks. Life was rich, yes, but I failed to notice it most of the time. It makes me wonder sometimes if anyone else feels this tension, this mix of regret and gratitude. Can we mourn the life we didn't live fully while still appreciating the moments we did? I think we can, and perhaps that tension is part of what it means to be human. I've come to realize something over these years. Certain lessons can't be rushed. Patience, empathy, love, the ability to really see another person, they don't arrive neatly packaged. They come late, often painfully, and sometimes only after loss. I was stubborn in my youth. I insisted on doing things the practical way, thinking I knew best. I clung to certainty and logic, believing I was building a strong life. But life has a way of nudging us, gently or sharply, until we notice the truths hiding in plain sight. I stumbled, I failed, and slowly, painfully, I began to understand. I remember a day, years ago, sitting on the porch after a rainstorm, watching the droplets drip from the eaves. She came out with a blanket and sat beside me. We didn't talk much, but she squeezed my hand, And in that simple gesture, I felt a wisdom that I hadn't earned, but that I could accept. Life's lessons aren't about lectures or manuals. They're about living and noticing and finally letting ourselves see. Sometimes I think about how young I was, how blind, how quick to dismiss the soft, subtle lessons that shape us, and I can't help but wish I had seen them sooner. But perhaps that's the point. Perhaps the late lessons carry their own kind of weight, one we learn to carry with humility, with patience, and with gratitude. I can't forget the day she left me. Not physically at first. She was still there, breathing, looking at me with that familiar softness. But in those last moments of clarity, the world felt unbearably silent. I remember the room so vividly, the sunlight falling across the bedspread, dust particles dancing in the light, the tilt of a vase on the dresser, the smell of her perfume lingering in the air. Her hand rested lightly on mine, fragile, almost translucent, and I wanted to say everything I hadn't said. But all I could do was hold her hand and let the tears come. In that quiet, I realized the depth of what I had ignored. All those years of preoccupation, my pride, my fears, my distractions, they didn't matter. What mattered was love, presence, noticing, listening. And I understood, in a way I hadn't before, that time is fragile, and we can't reclaim the moments we waste. It broke me open, and through that breakage came clarity. Even in the shadow of loss, there was understanding. Even with grief pressing down on me, I began to see the life I had been avoiding, the life I could still live differently, even if it was too late to undo the past. That day changed the way I looked at everything. I remember whispering to her, "I hear you now. I hear you." And somehow, even in silence, I think she knew I meant it. After she was gone, I began questioning everything. Not loudly, not dramatically. I didn't rage against life or shout at the walls. I whispered to myself in the dark, why did I waste so much time? What does it really mean to live well? Answers didn't come quickly. Maybe there are no final answers. And slowly, I realized something crucial. I had spent so long measuring life by standards I didn't even believe in. Success, reputation, routine. I had been playing a game I didn't understand, chasing illusions while ignoring what mattered most. I began noticing small, ordinary miracles. The sound of rain hitting the roof, the laugh of a stranger passing by, the memory of her smile. Life is messy, unpredictable, beautiful, and painful all at once, and it's okay, maybe even necessary, to sit with uncertainty, to live without clear answers. I try now to honor questions themselves, to linger with wonder, to ask what matters without rushing to decide. Part of growing older, I've found, is learning to live comfortably with the unknown and finding peace in the fact that some things are simply beyond our control. Her memory is everywhere, in the way I pause before speaking, in the kindness I try to show strangers, in the way I notice beauty I once ignored. I can't change the past, but I can carry her presence forward. I think about echoes, how our words, our gestures, our love ripple long after we're gone, and I try to honor that. 41 years weigh heavily sometimes, but there is also a gentle release, a sense that her words guide me still, like a quiet compass. I see now that life is not about perfection or guarantees. It's about presence, awareness, love, and the moments we cherish. I carry her with me in the small acts, holding hands, listening deeply, savoring the day. Our time together may have ended, but it continues to shape me, to guide me, to remind me to live awake, even in the face of loss. I don't have all the answers, and I don't pretend to. What I've learned slowly, gently, painfully, is that life asks us to notice, to reflect, to love as fully as we can. There's no single path, no universal formula. All we can do is pay attention, be present, and let the small moments guide us. Perhaps that's what she wanted me to understand all along. And if you're listening now, maybe it's worth pausing too, to see the people around you, to feel the small joys and sorrows, to give yourself the grace to wonder. Life is fragile, fleeting, full of questions, and it's beautiful precisely because of that. We cannot control it, and we cannot hold it perfectly, but we can notice it, honor it, and share what we've learned along the way. And perhaps that, in itself, is enough.